welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for being here. If you like what I say, if you like how I look, if you like what the vibe is giving, and if you find this video relatable or you've learned something, definitely go ahead and like, comment, and or subscribe. Today I want to talk about the temp tattoo. Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. It reminds me of that scene from The Craft when she's like, sorry, you're sorry. It's like sorry for me has become something that almost frustrates me, that word, sorry. Because it's like a lot of people say sorry, but they're not actually sorry. A lot of people have said sorry to me, but they're not actually sorry. They do the same things. It's just kind of a thing that they say, but they don't actually mean the apology. They don't actually mean that they're sorry. They just got caught. I'm ready to leave. I'm about to go. And now they're like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And so for me, sorry has really felt like just this empty word. You know, it's a word that exists, but there's no meaning behind it. There's no action. There's no change. There's no real potency behind the word sorry. And something I've learned is that sorry doesn't absolve you of the pain either way. Whether you get a sorry or not, you're never absolved of the pain from that sorry. You know, like, if somebody says they're sorry, if somebody apologizes, I think often we have this misconception that sorry will mean that closure, right? Sorry will mean that you'll be put together, you'll be whole again, and you'll finally receive what you felt like was taken from you, and that's why they're saying sorry, right? You'll receive whatever you felt like they are apologizing for back. And while sorry can help, right, it does serve as a sort of temporary tattoo, sorry does not absolve us from the pain. And this is something that I've learned over the years of receiving sorries and going through relationships where people have hurt me or I have hurt people, and then saying sorry, and then things kind of still happening, or things kind of still, you know, festering into a sort of chaos, into a sort of dysfunction. It's because the sorry just serves as recognition of pain caused, of issue, of something happening, of what you did, of the situation, but you still feel that pain when you receive a sorry. Often, like I was saying, I've thought that like sorry means like I'll be better if they just say sorry, if they just take accountability, if they just say this, if they just do this, then I'll feel better and I'll be good and I'll be whole. But what I realized and come to find out is that no. Because I've received no apology, and then I've received what I would say is the best apology. And even the best apology didn't absolve me of my pain. In fact, it actually was very healing to get that apology and for that person to take accountability and responsibility and own up and tell the truth of what happened. But I still, at the end of the day, like, it still came back around, and there was still pain inside of me that I needed to connect to me and figure out. They're sorry, it helped temporarily, and it helps temporarily to give some sort of ease or confirmation or affirmation to those feelings and to what was taken or what transpired. But it's like that sorry didn't mend what is inside of me that I'm still holding on to, that I still believe about myself that is lacking, that is bad, that is negative. You see, in order for us to get into situations that people have to apologize for, or in order for us to get ourselves in these situations where we're hurt, we have to have had allowed ourselves to be hurt. Like some part of us vibrated toward that energy and accepted it and let it happen, in a sense. And so it's really not on the person's apology to fix us or absolve us of that pain, but rather on ourselves to absolve that pain within ourselves. It's like forgiving ourselves and then forgiving them. Oftentimes we forgive others, but then we still don't quite feel right, and it's because it's not really about just forgiving them. It's about forgiving you for getting in that situation, for accepting that behavior, for putting up with that, for ignoring your intuition, for not listening to, you know, your gut feeling or how you were really thinking or what you really perceived the situation as that led it to a need for somebody to say sorry, or this sense of chaos, or this sense of issue. You know, I've received a beautiful apology, and I've always just thought that, like, sorry is supposed to make things better, and sorry is supposed to, I think that's how we kind of highlight sorry. You know, sorry is meant to fix things. And while it can temporarily fix things, like a temp tattoo, right? You can put a tattoo and it'll stain and it'll be there for a couple days, weeks, whatever. But then after that, it's like, okay, now it's gone, and I'm left with my own skin. I'm left with me and me, and I'm still feeling lack. I'm still feeling not enough. I'm still feeling negative about myself. I still don't have the confidence. I still don't have the self-esteem. I'm still thinking about the situation, and that's because it's not about them apologizing, absolving us of the pain, absolving me of the pain. It's about me and us going into our own pain and holding ourselves through that. Empty sorries honestly have ruined it for everyone. Like, sorry, it's like an irritating word, like I was saying in the beginning, like, because it's just like a lot of people say sorry, but they don't actually like know what it means to be sorry, or like how to move from that. And a lot of people don't say sorry, and I've been in a space too where I was afraid to say sorry because I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed about how I acted, and I was embarrassed to own up, to say, oh my God, like, that was me. I behaved in that way, right? And so a lot of people don't say sorry because they're embarrassed, because they feel inferior, because they feel guilty, because they feel bad. And if they say sorry, that means they have to acknowledge like how they acted, who they are, their shadow, most likely, right? That came out and up in whatever situation that caused the problem. And so it can create this, like, I know I did this really messed up thing, but like, I can't acknowledge it because like, I'm just so embarrassed that I act like that. And I've experienced that, but ultimately I said sorry. And like, you kind of have to really move through that if you're on the end of not like fearing saying sorry, or if you're like the receiver. And that's another thing, right? Understanding why people don't say it, or understanding why you may never get it. It's because people feel guilty, they feel bad, and not everybody can surpass those feelings and then come through and say sorry, because that's just how bad they feel. But if you're a real one, you know, you're gonna acknowledge, nah, like, I can't move forward until I say sorry. Like, I actually have to just own up to this, because keeping it in like makes me feel bad. And that's how I felt when I felt so embarrassed. I felt like I couldn't say sorry and didn't want to. Part of me was in my ego, right? Like, I have nothing to be sorry for, it's them, or like making excuses for my behavior. But then part of me was like, nah, like, I feel really bad. And ultimately I had to kind of, you know, reconcile those parts of me, talk to me, right? Again, it comes back to me, it comes back to us, and be like, you know what, I gotta say sorry. Like, I can't, because I'll be carrying this around forever, and I just don't want to carry it. I think sometimes we can think they're not saying sorry because of me, or they didn't even say sorry. And it's like, it's not about you. It's not about us. Because even, like I said, put it in my own shoes. I didn't say it, or I was afraid to say it, rather, because of me, not because of them. I was afraid to face them and kind of also face me, right? That shadow of me. That could be what other people are experiencing, or what you have experienced or are experiencing in the process of figuring out how to say sorry, or needing to say sorry, or in that midst of realization. Apologies, I feel like, are meant to be something that happens as a way to reconcile within yourself, but also within the connection. Apologies are meant to, I feel like, be a act of accountability, responsibility, acknowledgement of your own pain and your own shortcomings, but also how that connected to the situation. I think apologies, sorry, you know, is also connected to really owning the truth and speaking the truth and validating the truth, not just about yourself and what you did in the situation, but also about the connection in the situation as a whole, like from a bird's eye view. I think a lot of times we can focus on saying sorry for the sake of sorry, You know, like, again, empty sorries, like just saying sorry to say sorry, and it not really meaning anything, or it not really being understood, like what we're really saying or why we're really saying it, but we're just saying it because we feel like we should. Apologies, I feel like, are meant to go deeper. They're meant to be that sort of catalyst for healing. And I've experienced no apology, which is the worst apology, is no apology. Right? And even though it doesn't absolve you of pain, it's like to hear somebody, again, take accountability, responsibility, acknowledge your pain, acknowledge the experience, does mean something. But again, it's still a temp tattoo in the sense that it doesn't absolve us. So the worst apology is no apology, right? Not apologizing or not getting an apology. But the best apology that I've experienced is when somebody took accountability. Like I said, they took responsibility. They told the truth about the situation. They didn't lie. They just told me, like, yeah, and I felt this and I did this and I'm sorry, you didn't deserve Like, it's really breaking it down and allowing the truth to just kind of word vomit, to come out and really just express that vulnerability and loss and lack of ego. Because I think the bridge between apologies is that ego, right? A lot of times it's ego. Well, I didn't do anything wrong, you're the bad person, I'm not the bad person. Like this kind of fight between ourselves and the person. But it's like, apologies require settling down that ego. They require being vulnerable. They require meeting your heart where it's really at and not where you would like it to be at. You know, our ego would like our heart to not really exist, our emotions to not really exist, the pain to not really exist. But our heart says, nah, like, I don't feel right about this. I feel guilty. And that's what we need to follow. But again, we're so taught to follow that ego and not listen to our emotions or try to be the bigger one, the better one, that we don't say sorry, that we don't acknowledge what's really going on underneath the surface. And so the best apology is taking that accountability, acknowledging, being honest. If nothing else, apologizing is about being honest. You can't apologize and still be lying. You can't apologize and still be hiding. You can't apologize and still be suppressing. You have to show up vulnerably, right? When you make mistakes, like we all do, I have, right? When we make mistakes, we have to genuinely come at it like, I'm sorry that I did this. I'm going to be better. I didn't mean to do this. And it's not just, oh, I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry I did this. I'm sorry I made you feel. No, you have to say, I'm sorry that I lied about this. I'm sorry that I made this up. I'm sorry that I said this and that because I didn't really know this or that. You know, it's about not just saying sorry that happened, sorry for what we experienced, but actually saying like, no, I'm sorry that I lied to you. It's about that nitty gritty, that raw, again, that vulnerability in sorry. And so that's one of the best apologies that I've gotten. And sometimes apologies can be layered, where it's like you might need to tackle that situation or confront that person or that relationship dynamic multiple times as you're processing the forgiveness aspect and the sorry aspect, because it takes time to sometimes realize certain levels of a situation, certain aspects of a situation. You may need to keep returning to it, to keep releasing, to keep letting go. And it's important that we allow ourselves to do that, not just in connection to another, but also with ourselves, forgiving ourselves as much as we need to, forgiving someone else as much as we need to. And so the whole big thing around sorry is just like vulnerability, growth, allowing ourselves to open up, allowing ourselves to heal, and really also even be seen in that. Be seen in apologizing, but also be seen in receiving the apology. Sorry, like I said, it's like that temp tattoo, you know? Don't expect a sorry to absolve you of everything. Don't expect a sorry to fix you. Don't expect a sorry to align everything for you. Expect it to be healing and helpful for sure, right? But know that you can also heal without a sorry. And that's a big part too, because a lot of us never will get those sorries or don't get them. And that's okay. It's not about focusing on, I need them to say sorry before I can move on. I need them to da-da-da. You already know. You know, right? You know what you deserve, you know what happened, you know what you're worth, you know what you don't like, you know what you like, you know what you liked, you know what you didn't like, you know what you saw, you know what you experienced. And so it's really just about honoring that and going into the feelings of that experience. Why do I feel like I need a sorry from them? Why do I feel like I can't move on without that sorry? What am I holding on to in this situation? What am I afraid to let go of without this sorry? And so it's really about, again, returning to self. It's all about returning to self, whether you're apologizing or receiving the apology, or both, right? Because we all end up in both positions. And so if you made it to the end of this video, definitely thank you for watching. As I said, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe if this resonated with you. And I love to hear from you. So definitely let me know what you think, what you're feeling, and give this video a thumbs up on your way out. Until next time, Wolf. Bye.